name is Felicia Wright, and this is the Go Rouge podcast. Do you feel stuck? Does every day feel like Groundhog's Day? Well, I'm here to tell you it's time to take charge of your life and know that you are meant for more than this. It's time to go rogue. This podcast is for people that are ready to say enough is enough and discover their new normal with entrepreneurship. Get ready because your rogue journey starts now. Let's get into it. Hello, ladies, and welcome to episode 14 of the Go Rogue podcast. Today, I'm going to be talking about attraction marketing and how to do it right. I hope you're having a phenomenal day. But before we dive into that, I wanted to talk about a couple of things. If you are on iTunes or Stitcher and you're loving this episode or any other episodes, please leave a review on iTunes. That helps me reach other women just like you to help them along their rogue journey. So thank you so much for that, and share it with anybody that you think could benefit from this podcast as well. Because as you know, I'm a newbie, a little bit of a newbie. I'm on episode 14, which I'm super excited about, but I want to definitely reach more people and help more women. Also, if you have not checked it out, I just started releasing 2 episodes per week, and I'm super excited about that. So on Tuesdays, I do a solo episode about business, your mindset, reframing your mindset, and just being an entrepreneur in general. Those are those solo episodes. And on Fridays right now, I am doing my Rogue Women series, where I interview other entrepreneur women, and they tell us all about their rogue journey, what that looked like, the struggle that they had to overcome, and what their business is today, which is really exciting. You'll hear on a lot of those episodes where I say, like, I feel like this is for me. Like, anybody can get a huge aha out of those episodes. So definitely check those out. Right now, I am releasing them on Fridays right now, but I might change the day. I'm not quite sure. So it's an experiment. So I have one, as of right now, episode 14, I have one Rogue Women series episode release, but another one will be coming out on Friday and every Friday thereafter, unless I decide to change the day. So let's go ahead and dive into how to do attraction marketing right. And this really applies to personal brands. I find that with personal brands, this works wonders, especially with the clients that I've worked with. And it just helps so much. So if you don't know what attraction marketing is when you are pulling people in based off of you. You're attracting clients or people you want to work with to you and your brand, as opposed to going out and pitching people and responding to job posts or all that stuff. You're just pulling people in with you and your message. So that's what attraction marketing is. So I have 4 things that I really wanted to go over with you that will help amp up your attraction marketing plan and help you do it right. So the first thing I want us to go over, and this is one of the hardest, and my last one's going to be the next hardest, but the first one is to be yourself. And that is so hard to do. We see so much in the media, online, where we feel like we have to be everything for everybody. We have to have it all together in order to help people. And that's not the case. That is not the case. I will be the first to tell you I do not have it all together, but I have some things together, and I know I have a message that I want to get out to the world, and I know how I want to help people. So being yourself online is super important. You don't have to do what everybody else is doing. You don't have to have what everybody else has. So let me give you an example. So for me, when I was trying to define my brand and figure out what I wanted it to look like, my branding wise, when I look on social media, I see a lot of people with a lot of negative space, like lots of whites in their branding and very soft colors, like a lilac, like pink. I see a lot of that. And in the beginning, I felt like that's what I needed to do for my brand. And every time I would sit down to put something together with those types of colors, I would just draw a blank because when I was doing it, I knew that wasn't me. I like bold, bright colors. I like purple, obviously. And that just wasn't me. So even just putting that stuff, trying to do that, it was just way harder than it should have been because it wasn't me and I was forcing it. So be yourself online. If you don't like that color scheme and that's just one little example. There's a ton of different examples. Be yourself, be you, use the type of verbiage that you like to use. If you like to cuss, go ahead and cuss. You'll find that I don't really cuss all that much. I'm not adverse to it. I mean, I was in the military for 6 years, so I've heard it all. Like any veterans out there, like if you're a veteran out there, you know that we have heard literally everything, especially as a female in the military. But I digress. But that's not part of my brand because it's just not something I do every day. So, but if that's you, then use that. Talk that way. So don't feel like you have to fit into a certain mold to please the masses, because I'll be the first to tell you you're not going to please the masses. You're just not. I've tried it and it never works. So I was like, hey, you know what? This is it. You either like it or you don't, because I tried to please everybody and that didn't even work. So I'm just left with me now. So when you're online, don't feel like you have to front and be somebody that you're not, or be that one person that you love. It's like, oh, she's got the prettiest things and yada, 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 but that's not me. Well, don't do that. Don't do that to yourself because you're setting yourself up for failure. Okay? Deal? So just be yourself online and you'll be surprised at how much people will enjoy that. Because trust me, I'm surprised every day, and I know better, but I'm still surprised. But anywho, the second thing I wanted to talk about is when you're yourself online, you need to dial yourself up just a notch. So, for example, through a post and even through this podcast, you can't see me. You can't see my facial expressions. I'm even using hand gestures right now, and I know you're not in front of me, but that helps me talk. And when somebody's face to face with me, they are able to pick up on my energy because of my facial expressions, my hand gestures, my body language. But with a podcast or with a post, all of that is removed. So when you are being yourself online or through a podcast, you kind of have to crank up your energy a little bit so you can break through all that without having the visuals and talking to somebody in person, because then you are trying to give as much energy as possible so I'm just going to use the podcast. It's just way easier for me to just use this podcast. So before I record, I have to get kind of excited, and I try to infuse that excitement in my voice because I want you to feel my energy, because we don't have the benefit of looking right at each other. So I am able to pull people in with my message and my story and who I am, because I've kind of cranked up my personality a notch through this podcast. Does that make sense? So think about it. If I was, let's go down. So if I was just talking to you like this and talking to you about traction marketing, I'm pretty sure you would turn off this podcast, because that's not who I am and that's not why you came. So me talking like this is pretty boring. At least it is for me. It's boring for me. So you have to crank things up just a notch. Don't feel like you have to be super, super excited and rainbows and glitter. No, that's not what I'm saying. But like whoever you are and whoever your message is, just dial it up just a notch so people can feel that energy. Does that make sense? I hope so. So the next thing I wanted to go over is that you have to be the face. And this is specifically personal brands. You have to be the face. I have found when I put posts with my face or anything with me in it, those tend to do well, because even like Facebook, it has face in the word, people like to see you. And especially if you're trying to do attraction marketing, you want people to come in because of you. So you have to include your face. I've worked with clients where they're like, no, I don't want to put my face out there. No, you won't, you'll be hard pressed to find a picture of me. It's like, but why? Like, I want people to feel like they know you. And if they don't see you, how can they possibly know you? So if you are one of those people where you're like, I need to look perfect and polished before I do anything online, then stop it. But I will, full disclosure here. So I told somebody this and she laughed her head off. And like afterwards, I was like, yeah, that kind of sounds ridiculous, but full disclosure, before I started my podcast, I wanted to do YouTube. And I found that I felt the pressure to look polished all the time. And to be completely honest with you, I've got two littles, a 2 and a 4-year-old. I don't look polished even half the time. So I was like, you know what? Podcast it is. Like I can't do YouTube right now. So I even fall victim to that of like, I feel like I need to look polished and stuff, but I found a solution. So I did the podcast instead, but I also still post pictures of myself, my family online. You'll find pictures of me online. So if you are one of those people that's like, no, I can't do that. It's just like, you know what? Just take a day where you feel polished and take a ton of pictures. Like legit take a ton of pictures. Hopefully you have a lot of space on your iPhone because you can literally take a ton of pictures in one day and use them for like 3 to 4 months. So if you're one of those people that you're like, oh my gosh, I want to look, at least decent in these pictures, go ahead, find 3 outfits, take some pictures inside, take some pictures outside, take a ton of them, pick some different backdrops, just take one day, get it done, and then you have like 3 to 4 months of images that you can use. Boom. But also with that, I would say like I'm one that, and this is like a personal preference as a consumer, I am one that likes to see like you kind of in the wild. I don't always want to see those perfect photo shoot pictures. So having those photo shoot pictures is awesome, but also I would love to see some like just everyday life pictures incorporated, but that's just my personal preference. So that is something that draws me in as a consumer. So think about like who your people are and what's going to draw them in. How are you going to attract them to you? And one of those is with your face. Sorry, just do it. Just do it. And, some people are like, oh, I'm tired of people telling me to just do it. It's like, well, that's the case. Like, you just kind of have to do it. So just get out there and get her done and put your face out there because you are beautiful. Like, you are. I will be the first one to tell you if I am the first one, but I'm sure I'm not. And the last thing I wanted to go over with you, and this is another hard one. So the be yourself is a hard one. And this is the next one. You have to be vulnerable. I know it's scary. It's really scary. And I'm still scared myself. But like, honestly, this podcast is me being vulnerable. It's like, it's crazy town. But anywho, you have to be vulnerable and share like your struggles with people because nobody wants to see somebody up on a high horse that has it all together because then you're unattainable. Like that's just unattainable for other people. So sharing some of your struggles and what you're going through is so amazing and that attracts people to you. I think there's been several moments on this episode, or not this episode, podcast, sorry. There's another one, but there's been several episodes where I kind of like break it down and I feel like I overshare sometimes. I was like, man, I shouldn't have said that, but I'm like, well, like, that's important because nobody wants to feel like they're talking to somebody that has it all together and is super perfect all the time. Like, I know I don't. I really don't because that makes me kind of feel bad about myself. And that's not that person's fault, but it's so easy to get caught in comparing yourself to these perfect people, even though they're not perfect. but that's all that they put out. So you really want to just share like some of your struggles and stuff. I've shared with you like just now, like how I felt like I was like, I can't do YouTube because I can't look polished all the time. So that's something that I'm struggling with, and I need to get over that, but I'm digging the podcast right now. So what are you struggling with? How can you share that with your audience in a way that makes them feel good about themselves and make them feel like they're not alone? So whatever you're struggling with, think about your audience and how it can benefit you by sharing it with them, and how it can benefit them by them hearing it and seeing themselves in that struggle. Okay? So I truly believe this is how attraction marketing is done right. And this is what pulls me into a lot of different influencers and the ones that I love. And it's being yourself and then cranking up your personality just a notch so people can feel your energy and who you are through these different mediums that we use. You have to be the face of your brand. We want to see you and being vulnerable about what you are struggling with. This is so super important. So I hope that was helpful. Thank you so much for dropping by. If you love this episode, definitely share it with a friend and leave a review. If you are on your rogue journey and you don't know where to turn, definitely head over to my Go Rogue community on Facebook. You can find it at bit.ly/rogue community. And if you head over there, I actually, for now, I have a personal branding workshop in the pinned post. So if you want to work on your personal brand and attraction marketing, definitely head over to that group and check out that free workshop that's in the pinned post. I'm not sure how long it's going to be up, but it's up right now, and definitely go check it out. So I hope you're having a great day and go and slay the day.